So when it comes to fats, you have a lot of options. You have butter, which is everybody's favorite, including mine. Butter's great because it tastes, well, buttery. But it's a good neutral fat. It lends a butter flavor without sort of overpowering anything else. Although you can get some really powerful butters, like European butters tend to be really buttery and they're aromatic and they're amazing. But you like if something's really kind of like a stinky butter, it's something you want to take into account when cooking with it. You have bacon type products, like this is pancetta, which is in that family. When you're cooking with stuff like this, generally you can just add them to your dish whole, like pieces of bacon. But the general technique is to take them, chop them into little tiny pieces, cook them in a pan till they, spit out all their fat, and then fish out all the little like meaty bits that are left over, and then just use the fat on its own. Because for whatever reason, you may not want meaty bits in your dish, you just want the bacon flavor or the fatty flavor. We've got safflower oil, which is super neutral. This oil is great it's got a high smoke point, so it's great for frying. It's great for just like, anything you want to use oil with. Other comparable oils that are flavorless and really easy to work with are canola oil, sunflower oil, and then, generally those over like vegetable oil, cooking oils. You've got everybody's second favorite, olive oil. Olive oil, there's a whole range of olive oils. Like you can get really neutral olive oils, you can get really green olive oils, you can get really spicy olive oils. And olive oil is actually a really good thing to practice tasting on. You can just get several different kinds of olive oil, put them in like little tiny cups and taste them. And taste one, every couple minutes to give your palate a chance to clear. And you'll notice a huge difference in olive oil. So this is actually a really good olive oil. This is Cobram Estate. This is an Australian olive oil that has also grown in Sacramento. This is a delicious oil that has a lot of personality, so it would be kind of lost to cook with. So you would want to use a really good olive oil like this on something that you wouldn't cook it. So you would eat it with like bread, dipping, or you would put it in a salad dressing, or you would drizzle it over vegetables after you pull them off the grill, because cooking something like this would really destroy its personality versus other kinds of cheaper olive oil that maybe don't have that much personality, and you can cook with them all you want. But this is, like a $35 bottle of olive oil, and cooking with it would be a huge waste. This is something you really want to enjoy sort of on its own and give it the respect it deserves. Then you have other things like coconut oil. There's a lot of controversy about coconut oil. Whatever, I like it. It tastes good. But this is actually really handy when you're baking. You can actually swap out coconut oil with, like, if you're not into canola oil or if you're not into vegetable oil or if this is all you've got. You can also put it in salad dressing. You put it in whatever you want. Like, it's very versatile. And the thing about coconut oil is, see how it's liquid right now? Like, if you put this in the fridge, it becomes rock solid. So if you cook with coconut oil, you have to pull it out a couple hours ahead of time. Then there's some really, it's really important to think about flavor from like a green perspective as well. So when it comes to flavor, you have like a whole world of interesting ingredients, like things that just taste good on their own, and you can use them to like edit your dish, right? Like dried herbs, fresh herbs are a big one. So you've got like, these herbs are all different kinds here. Like they have a very green flavor, but they also have other properties. So sage, this is sage. It's got kind of a woody, mentholy flavor. This is thyme. It's sweeter, definitely more green. Thyme, actually, it's probably the sweetest of all of them. So this will give your dish kind of like a sweet flavor, but also give it green notes without actually making it like sweet, like you added sugar. Rosemary has kind of, it's like a piney flavor, but it's also got kind of a sweet note to it. So if you add rosemary to like a pork chop or mashed potatoes, it'll give it kind of a sweet, piney flavor without having to add sugar. So actually, using these guys can be really useful if you want to add like a sweet note to a savory dish without actually adding sugar. Actually, lemon zest is really good for that too. You just take a very fine cheese grater or a specially made lemon zester, grate just the top layer of the zest off, just the yellow part. You don't want to dig down into the pith because it gets a little bitter. And if you add that to your dish, it'll give it a really fresh, bright, almost sweet lemon flavor without like having that lemon acid flavor that goes with it. And also that's really useful for cooking with dairy because lemon juice will curdle dairy, it'll curdle cheese, it'll curdle milk, but lemon zest will not. Got other little herbs down here. This is tarragon. It's got kind of like an anise flavor. And then these guys, this is chives. Everybody knows chives. Chives are amazing. They're like like, you know, onion's like less offensive little sister. These, you can use any of these in a multitude of ways. They just add like a really beautiful, well-rounded herbal green note to whatever you're making. You can put them in salad dressings. You can sprinkle them over the top of your dish when you're done. You know, parsley's a really big one. You sprinkle parsley over the top of your stew or your soup or whatever because it gives it like a nice green vegetal flavor. The only thing you want to keep in mind with cooking with herbs is you don't want to cook the holy hell out of them because they're very fragile, they're very gentle, and if you cook them too much then their flavors basically obliterate and you have nothing left. So these are something you generally want to add at the very tail end of your cooking. So fat is super important. It's a carrier of flavors. Anything with fat in it is going to taste better. And if you're making dishes that don't have any fat in them, they're fat-free, or maybe they just don't have any fat in them because that's not what the recipe involves. Like, you're gonna have to bump up flavor a little bit more, like your flavorful ingredients, in order to make them taste stronger. Versus if you have fat in them, like those flavors are gonna be carried a little bit more easily. You probably won't need to use as much. And then you've got your little palette of green herbs right here that are gonna totally change the way you cook because they bring everything a nice, greener, fresher flavor.